Let me take you back to a time when everything seemed impossible. When life had already knocked you down so many times, you were just waiting for that final blow. But here's the thing. Sometimes the biggest breakthroughs come from the deepest holes. And this story, it's all about one man, a barren well, and the faith that turned everything around. This is Mateo's story. And I'm not telling you this to hear about some far-off hero. No, I'm telling you this because you might see yourself in him. Maybe you're struggling. Maybe you feel overlooked. But you've got that fire inside you. The same fire Mateo had. Mateo was no stranger to hard work. He was the kind of guy who woke up before the sun and didn't stop until long after it went down. For 15 years, he worked for a man named Rodrigo, a landowner who had more money than he knew what to do with. Rodrigo didn't build his wealth on sweat and tears. He inherited it. He rode around in fancy boots on his purebred horse, barking orders at the people he looked down on, including Mateo. But here's the thing, Rodrigo didn't see it. He didn't see that Mateo was the backbone of everything, the one who kept working hard day after day, who never complained. Rodrigo might have been the boss, but Mateo had something he didn't. Dignity. He had a dream, and that dream was to build a better life for his wife Esperanza and their 3 kids. In a land ravaged by drought, Mateo and his family were barely scraping by. The wells were dry, crops had withered, cattle had died off. Water wasn't just scarce, it was nearly gone. But Mateo saved every penny he could. Every coin went into a leather bag, tucked away for a future he believed in. A piece of land where his family could be free from the grinding poverty that had consumed them. Then one day, just as the sun was rising over the hills, Rodrigo called Mateo over. His voice oozed that condescending tone he always used. "I've got a plot of land for you," Rodrigo said, almost as if it were a favor. "Up north, by the road. There's a well, not much of one, but it's yours, if you want it." Mateo's heart raced. This was it, his shot at the future he'd worked for, his chance to give his family something better than this broken, dry land. The price? His life savings, all of it. Rodrigo seemed confident, almost too confident. "I'll take it," Mateo said without hesitation, his eyes lighting up. But Esperanza, ever the voice of reason, had a bad feeling about it. "Mateo, why is he selling it now?" she asked, her voice filled with doubt. But Mateo pushed that aside. "It's Rodrigo. He wouldn't lie. It's just a piece of land, nothing fancy." And so, without thinking twice, Mateo handed over the money he'd worked so hard to save. 15 years of sacrifice, sweat, and blood. Rodrigo took the money with a smug grin, signed a paper, and handed it over to Mateo. "That's it," Mateo whispered to Esperanza. "It's ours." The next day, the family went to the plot. It was small and barren, but it was theirs. They stood around the dry well, and Mateo couldn't help but smile. "Tomorrow we draw water," he said. It was a moment of victory. The dream was real. But that night, reality set in. When they pulled up the first bucket of water, there was no splash, just the sound of metal hitting dry dirt. Mateo's stomach sank. He tried again. Nothing. dry. "Esperanza," he called, his voice cracking. She saw his face and instantly knew. "It's empty," he said, his voice almost breaking. For days, Mateo dug. He moved stone after stone, shifting dirt, determined to find water. But the well was nothing but a dry hole. Each day, his family carried water from the distant river, walking hours each way, their spirits as drained as their bodies. On the 5th day, Rodrigo showed up, riding high on his horse with a wicked grin plastered across his face. "How's the new land, Mateo?" he asked, as if the whole thing was some cruel joke. Mateo, exhausted and filthy, stood there, defeated. "There's no water," Mateo said quietly. "The well's dry." Rodrigo feigned surprise, his voice dripping with mock sympathy. "Must have dried up, huh? I sold you land with a well, not water. You should have checked first. Dreamers like you." He laughed, not even hiding his contempt. That night, Mateo sat outside under the stars with his wife. No words were needed. She didn't need to ask if he was defeated. She could see it in his eyes. But then, something changed. That night, as Mateo lay awake, staring at the stars, a feeling hit him deep in his gut. He wasn't going to give up. Not for his family, not for his dream. He grabbed his pickaxe and headed for the well in the dead of night, sweat already soaking through his clothes. And he kept digging. He dug until his hands bled, his body screamed for rest, but he didn't stop. Every strike of the pickaxe felt like he was fighting for his family, for his future, for the respect he knew he deserved. He wasn't done yet. On the 4th night of digging, something changed. As Mateo's tired eyes blinked through the dirt, he saw a flicker in the walls of the well, a sparkle. He reached in, his hands trembling. It wasn't water. It was gold. A vein of pure gold shimmered under the lamp's light, glowing with a deep, rich glow that seemed to speak directly to his soul. His heart raced. "Esperanza, come see this," he called. She rushed to his side, her eyes wide as she saw the glittering gold buried beneath the dry earth. In the next hours, the village came alive with whispers. News spread like wildfire. Mateo had struck gold. The wealth he'd been seeking, hidden beneath the very ground he had been betrayed over. But this wasn't just about gold. This was about justice. The village goldsmith, Don Julian, came to examine the find. He marveled at the discovery and warned Mateo. "This is more than we can handle alone. Gold brings greed. But this is no accident, Mateo. You've been tested and you didn't break." But even with the gold in his hands, Mateo refused to sell out. When Rodrigo came back, offering to buy the land for a huge sum, Mateo didn't hesitate. "No," he said, "this land is ours. We won't sell it back to you, not for anything." Rodrigo, humiliated, turned his back and left. The next day, the village gathered, not in mockery, but in respect. Mateo stood before them, his face grim but resolute.
"I didn't dig for gold," he said. "I dug for my family. I dug because I believed we deserved better. When life hands you a dry well, keep digging. It's not about gold, it's about never giving up. The villagers nodded, understanding. Mateo had become not just a man of wealth, but a man of integrity. A man who, through hard work and faith, had turned a barren well into a symbol of perseverance. Rodrigo, once the proud landowner, stood at the edge of the crowd, watching Mateo, humbled. And that's when Don Julian leaned over to him and said, "This is what happens when you never quit."
Folks, sometimes life hands you a dry well. It mocks you. It takes everything from you. But if you dig deep enough, if you keep fighting, you'll find your way to the gold. Not always literal, but the kind that changes everything. Your dignity, your pride, your legacy. Mateo's story is a testament to faith, grit, and justice. It reminds us all, no matter how many times life tries to knock you down, keep swinging that pickaxe. Your breakthrough is waiting. If this story fired you up, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Keep digging. Don't stop.